And so there's this massive buildup of like incredible energy as you get to this point of spiritually awakening, and boom, everything crashes. It all falls apart. And I think a lot of people are scared to talk about this because they don't want to admit to themselves like, oh, I've lost it. And it's not really losing it. And that's what this video is going to take you through. The crash after the awakening. Why everything sort of resets back into ego, and how to process your way out of that. What is its purpose, and how you can get back to that hyper powerful state of manifesting your dreams, of pulling everything into your space. Some things I want to give to you in today's video, these 3 main points that are going to help you get out of the crash and build that solid foundation. Now, for those of you who haven't been here, I'm not someone who likes to make this esoteric and ethereal. I like to make spirituality practical so that the concepts that I speak about you guys can apply in your life and actually use to manifest a completely different reality for yourselves. Now, for those of you who've been here, you know that my original videos are me sort of teaching this stuff, but I wanted to include a lot more about my story so that it makes a lot more sense when I'm explaining these points and is more relatable. So if you've just hopped onto this video and this is the first time you've seen me, go and watch this video here where I take you through the first bits of my awakening, what it was like and what it taught me, specifically shadow work. Because to understand this point in the crash, that shadow work portion of my last video is the most important. And what starts to happen after that spiritual awakening and we get to that heightened state, things start to dip for a very important reason. It's actually to serve you in becoming a conscious manifester on a whole nother level. So I had my spiritual awakening 4 years ago. It was in the heart of COVID and in a deep depression that I had been in, not finding alignment with anything in the world. And as a run through about what happened, I manifested what I believe this world consists of. It consists of people, places, and things. I got my ex back. For a lot of us, that's quite important, the relationship side of things. My dream car, which is the thing, the what in this world. And then I went to Los Angeles to pursue my music. You can see around me, this is my studio. So these are my instruments and things here. Now, the crash was something different. After my awakening and after manifesting all of these things and living in that high, it started in my relationship. And I started to find problems and the old me surface again in my relationship. Certain expectations started coming out. I started wanting my girlfriend to do things that she used to do or do things that I was now more aligned with. Instead of going into what I did before, which was just punishing her for not being that person, I started speaking about it. I just let my expectations and that energy that these thoughts were in come out. I let them sort of just see the light of day and let her hear them and sort of process them. Whether she was going to do it or not, I had no control over. The way that started building up was the more she didn't do these things I was speaking about, the less connected I started to feel. And that started to drop me down lower and lower and lower as time went on. And 2 years into that portion of this experience, I had come to a point where it was like dull again. And it wasn't that I didn't understand spirituality anymore, but I didn't feel as connected. And trying to manifest things seemed unbelievable. And there's certain things you have to reinstall. What happens in that spiritual awakening is almost like you get pulled out of your ego, ripped out, and shown God, shown the universe, shown purpose, how things actually work. That's the sort of experience. You go, wow, everything makes sense. I kind of have this analogy that I use when I speak to my friends about it. It was like I was then put back on earth and told, now build your way back to me. And that's what I think is so important, because the whole principle behind spirituality and life on earth and this natural existence is to gain that sense of connectedness on this 3D plane, to build your way back with rigidity so that you build this foundation that is strong. I found that I would experience certain sort of basic level emotions. So for example, anger was one of the things that I've always struggled to overcome, even after my spiritual awakening. I'm aware of it though, so that's like the beautiful part. That's what the spiritual awakening provides after the crash even, and during the crash, is a sense of awareness. To become aware of your emotional reactions and then find a way to process them. Now, after the spiritual awakening, it's automatic. I don't need to be angry because all of this makes sense and it's a useless waste of time. But as time goes on after the awakening, that intense frustration starts to build up again. Anger starts to build up again. The ego finds new shadows to live in. And so what would happen is this anger that I would experience, especially in traffic, like road rage is something that I've struggled with, that I'm still dealing with, on a day-to-day basis. But what started happening right after the awakening was I would get frustrated with a taxi driver on the road cutting me off, and I would immediately go, oh wait, hold on, this has meaning, this has purpose. And this has meaning and this has purpose, we start to run over in our heads as an automatic response after the awakening. It becomes automatic. Now, the thing that we need to understand is that spirituality and holding on to that super powerful state of self is an emotional process. It's not mental. It's not logical. And so when we find that emotional place, we have to build the logic to support it. And that is something that I focus on. That's what this channel's really about, is developing that logical way to explain this emotional experience. And one of the things that I found really helped after the crash was to slow down and re-experience the emotional side of these logical, foundations I had built. So in those angry moments, when we fast forward into like after the awakening and during the crash, was I had to really struggle to find that same sense of peace from the logical place of it all has a purpose, it all has meaning. And like I say, slowing down is one of the most powerful things you can do. So what I would do was I would think about the meaning of purpose. I would sit and go, well, what is purpose? Why is there purpose? Oh yes, it's because everything is designed for my soul's greater upliftment. And I would then reinforce the end point of the spiritual awakening's peace and sense of fulfillment. And so as you go through and the crash happens and you don't feel that sense of peace and fulfillment, the branch doesn't go all the way anymore. It's to slow down and reinitiate the emotional experience. And that's what meditation is actually so important for. It helps slow down and increase awareness. It's all okay for you to go, oh, it all has a meaning and brush it off to a 10% part of your brain. But to reinitiate that from the perspective of 100% awareness takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of devotion, energetic devotion. And to do that, you need to be in the present moment. So we lose these places as we go. Now, the purpose of the crash is designed for this. It's so that you can build a way more rigid, logical structure to understanding these spiritual things, so that when you share them with others, you have the backing of these emotional and logical kind of meeting points to help other people expand. There's certain rules to the awakening. And once you've had an awakening, for those of you who've had one and are here because you're like, oh wow, I've had this awakening, and you want to understand this crash aspect, you must understand your purpose once you have that awakening. And it's to love that peace and love within you above all, and then to love it in everyone else. So what that is to share it, to be the catalyst for their awakenings. If that becomes your purpose, you'll find it's a lot easier to stay in that space. So what I found, the biggest thing that pulled me out of the crash was speaking to my best friend who was going through a breakup, who had moved overseas, and he was going through this horrible state of not wanting to be here anymore. And in our conversations, I was speaking about the awakening. I was speaking about the spirituality aspect of life. And he had his awakening. And the reason that it helped me get out of the crash is because I had to slow down the mental process of running through that neural pathway, which is what's actually happening when you develop these ideas. You create new neural pathways. But your brain has to baby step itself through that as you're going through building this neural pathway. But after 66 days, that habit is well formed. So you don't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. You go A to Z, and it's this instant thing, and you don't get to experience the emotional side, which is the thing you're actually going for. So when I would slow it down through speech, I'd have to actually think about, on a much more aware and slowed down level, what I was speaking about for him. And so that slow down process is really important. Now, for you to get out of the crash, and what worked for me was understanding, slow down, become aware, remember the important values in that. Now, we know values not in the world, it's in that spiritual place. I increased my meditations. I started to slow down. When I thought of something spiritual, I had to stop and give it all the time it deserved. Because with only 10% capacity, it doesn't bear the same weight. So that's what I fixed, was to slow down. And what started happening is my manifestation started coming back, the power to do that. It's also the same thing as being around like-minded people, because in that state with them, you start to breed this awesome sort of energy, and you staying in that slower cyclical event of understanding it. I started and joined a course with Aaron Doughty. For those of you who are interested in my stuff, you will absolutely love his stuff. I'll link his channel right here just so that you can go and take a look if you don't know him, but I'm sure a lot of you know who Aaron Doughty is. And I joined a course with him and Victor Odo. I'll link Victor Odo right here. Victor's also incredible, and they developed this course to help people essentially do what they do, but for themselves. And that's why this channel's doing what it's doing today, because of their incredible help. So working alongside them and having this course that we've been doing, I've been in this energy surrounding myself with these people for so much longer, which has been amping everything up. And it's really helped me get over the crash. Now the crash, like I said, has complete purpose, and it's really difficult to go through alone. So what I've done is started developing a community. I've made a Telegram group you can join below, where I'll be releasing constant videos, constant ideas. They're not going to necessarily be every day, but as the moment arises, I'll be sharing stuff on there, so I'm more connected with you guys on like a now basis. You guys might watch this 2-3 months after I've posted it, to stay in touch with what's kind of going on, and for us to have that energy and that upliftment that I experience from the course. I've created this group. I'd love for all of you to join it there. That's also where, once I release my courses and my one-on-one sessions with people, those people are going to get all of the discounts first. They're going to know about it first. I'm going to give it to the community first before I announce it on YouTube. So if you don't want to miss out on that, that's a great thing to do, is go and join that. But also don't forget to subscribe to this channel where this story carries on, because after the crash, something else happens. So processing this crash is a journey you have to go on, and to do it alone is extremely difficult. That's why I've created the community. What starts to happen is it starts to knock down your sense of comfort and peace in the concept. The world starts to get back at you. Now here's some things I want to share with you so that you don't get trapped in that space. Some things I want to give to you in today's video, these 3 main points that are going to help you get out of the crash and build that solid foundation. The first one is, like I said earlier, become aware and present. Now you guys know I love speaking about becoming aware. Awareness is 90% of the hard work done. So to become aware, we connect with our senses. Now it's not necessarily, okay, I hear a car, I hear a bird, I hear the dog snoring, because my dog is snoring like right over there. It's about how far you are from the sounds you are hearing. So focus on close sounds and far sounds. It's not about what you see, but the distance from them. It's not about what you smell, but the ability to do so. And what this does is make you very aware of what and where you are in this space and time. And that connectedness to that energy starts to make you feel a sense of deep connectedness with the now. And that's why it's so important. So just give it a try after this video, or pause it and try it right now. You will feel this awesome state of complete connectedness with the moment. Your worries might have that energy, might have that feeling, but they don't have form. You're not going to see what you might be worried about. You will feel these things, but they won't be connected to a prediction of the worst case scenario. That's the next phase you want to go into, is to feel. So when you have that little worry, that's, you got this presence, but you got this like worry, this little irritating emotion somewhere, focus on it. Now you're going to turn to it and go, what do you want? You can swear in it, because that's what I did in my head there. You can say what you want, but you're going to address this energy, this feeling, and be like, what are you here for? And you'll see it will kind of be like, sorry, I didn't mean to, I just wanted to tell you this. And what I mean by that is there's a sense of feeling of relief that will come from addressing it. It might be something that you're doing, just doing or thinking, that it wants to warn you about, because it's going to lead to manifesting things you don't prefer and getting further into the shadow. So that's what it's there for. It's to feel and address it. And then the third is to become creative. Start creating the ideal emotional body that you want to experience. Now, I normally speak about visualizing the future you, having the things, people, and places that you want. But I'm going to take it another step further. And I just want you to imagine what the ideal version of you feels. Just what do they feel? So in this state of complete awareness, having processed emotions you don't prefer, literally just feel what it would feel like if it was the best feeling you could have. Let go of any kind of attachment to things, people, and places for this exercise, and allow yourself to feel this emotion building. And in an imaginative space, imagine it being an orb that slowly spins, and it's a dim light, whatever color you want. It's quite a meditative experience, but you can do it with your eyes open. And let that ball, as you're giving more time and energy, let that orb grow, spin faster, and get brighter. Those 3 areas. It grows, it spins faster, and the light gets brighter. The reason you're doing this is what starts to happen is your body starts to feel a sense of emotional shift when things are getting bigger, brighter, and faster, because energetically, that's what we are drawn to. is brighter, is better. So what happens is when we create this and it's an emotion and you feel it expanding, what starts to happen is you start to envelop those emotions. And that's what you're going to allow to happen. You're going to allow the emotion you've created to become your state of self right now. And that's how you get through the crash. This will take multiple times. You will do this over the period of 21 days, 66 days, making it a habit. Whatever it takes, this is how you develop the energy to get out of that stuck place of the crash. Now, the story doesn't quite end there. After the crash, there is a lot of work to do, and it's to find out what your calling is spiritually and how you're going to develop this through time, how you're going to push this purpose out into this natural world. So for those of you who are still at this point in the video, thank you so much for being here. I want you to let me know in the comments, because that is the first place we're going to take it from thought and bring it into this world in the form of the written word. Put it in the comments there what you want your purpose to be. Do you want it to be a light worker? Do you want it to be just helping others? Do you just want to feel at peace? I just want to understand what is your spiritual purpose that you would like to embody. So that's going to come in Tuesday's video about what I did with my purpose and how I decided to completely change my trajectory into what it showed me I'm meant to do. For those of you who don't want to miss that video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this if this has added some value to you. It helps me out on the algorithm to reach more people and continue to grow this channel. Thank you so much for being here and watching to this point. I can't wait to hear from you in the comments. For those of you who don't know, I respond to every single comment. So I'll chat to you down there. I'll see you on the next video on Tuesday. Mad love and light.